after New England became the first team to qualify for the playoffs on Wednesday night. The race to join them intensified across the weekend's 13 fixtures in MLS. Our look back at the action begins in the East at Yankee Stadium with the second Hudson River Derby in 4 days.
Excited about this, partner? We're ready to go.
New York Red Bulls can turn it around with a victory tonight.
It's getting out of control here. Opportunity outside the box, save! Morales lays this off, and a shot goal! Tati Castellanos. And a straight red. There was an appeal for a handball. Penalty! Tie game! We've got a follow-up act. You might want to be with us for that.
Commentary comes from Dan Roebuck.
Killed in by Morales here and glanced towards goal. Callens with a header cleared off the line. Tolkien completes the job. Flicked back in by Tajori Stradi, and another really good save here by Coronel. Up into the air once more, and he grabs it at the third attempt under real pressure from Callens. Well, it's a firecracker start from New York City FC as they look to put the Red Bulls to the sword here. Flicks on towards Klimala, and eventually the shot is brilliantly saved, and the follow-up here is collected by Sean Johnson. This is Fernandez, shows real strength against Tinnerholm, and Johnson just stands tall. Just look at this. There's dedication for you. This is Tolkien. Palms out, wants a bit of movement, clips it down the line. Fernandez will control. Klimala waits inside the penalty area. Still Fernandez. Sean Davis. Here's the opening here. Low ball in. Fernandez with a strike! New York Red Bulls lead at Yankee Stadium, and the boy from the Bronx sends the visiting supporters into delirium here. Good play from Duncan over on that right-hand side. Gets there ahead of Sands. Slots away perfectly into the corner. Castellanos with the overhead! That would have been some goal. Terrific technique. Just unable to keep it down enough. New York City FC with a high line here. Johnson has got a lot of room to work with. Clipped in by Edwards. Pop back up. Ewood with a strike! Terrific stop! Sean Johnson throws himself across to the right-hand side to deny a second Red Bulls goal. Caceres. This is Duncan. Yearwood. Tolkien. Muller wants it. Tolkien goes himself. What a save again by Johnson. Probably thought it was going to be curled towards a teammate. That's a vicious hit. Maxi Morales to curl in. Their delivery. Flicked on. Coronel, how on earth did he keep that one out? What a reaction save. Curling, dipping corner. Castellanos coming in between defenders. Must have thought that he scored when he connected with that from just 3 yards out. Rodriguez keeps it in and delivers, and the header is brilliantly saved. Medina denied. Coronel in the way. Oh, credit both keepers in this fixture. They've made some wonderful stops. Where was the Red Bulls' defence here? This is Barlow to control. Wiki Carmona to take the touch. Morales to slide in. And then Yearwood to keep it going. He's got Duncan to his right-hand side. He goes himself, it takes a deflection. He spun and crept in at the near post. Red Bulls sniff a second here. Danny Roy's calling for it! Maybe just a little ring rusty. Full time, New York City FC 0, the New York Red Bulls 1.
It was special for me, you know, to score here, you know, in front of my parents. You know, they probably drove 10 minutes from the house, so it was something so meaningful for me to, you know, score and, you know, celebrate right in front of them.
Despite securing their postseason berth in midweek, Eastern Conference leaders New England are seemingly not going to take their foot off the gas. Adam Buxer's goal against Orlando arrived within the first 10 minutes. Oscar Pereira's team were badly in need of a revival anyway after 3 straight defeats, and pure power from Daryl DK pulled Orlando level with the game still in a formative state. It was a frantic first half. Tajon Buchanan's magnetic attraction to the ball mesmerised João Moutinho, and Buxer's physicality helped divert it in for the Revs.
Adam Buxa buries it for a second of the game.
That was later credited as a Rodrigo Schlegel own goal, but Buxer's constant presence was something Orlando found tough to contain. When the Polish striker again thought he had a second goal, this time it was an offside flag that denied him his 13th of the season in MLS. Even with the slightly confusing NFL markings on the pitch, there was no doubt about where the foul on DK took place moments later, as the Revs conceded a penalty. Nani took it, and Matt Turner saved it, just as he did when the pair squared up in last year's Eastern Conference semi-final. The win keeps New England on course to become the best regular season team in MLS history in terms of points gained. Another 3 here, but not 3 goals, as Gustavo Bo almost took the crossbar off late on. Still, that's 12 victories from 15 now for the Revs.
Behind the Revs in second, Nashville made the trip to Soldier Field to take on the Chicago Fire on Sunday afternoon. Gary Smith opted to rotate his attacking options, with Yonder Cadiz brought back into the starting lineup for only the second time since May, but he was unable to extend Gabriel Slonina. Nashville, who hit 5 at Inter Miami in midweek, left top scorer Hani Mukhtar on the bench and CJ Sapong out of the squad with the hectic schedule in mind, but failed to score for the first time in 9 matches. Sub Daniel Rios, who came on for Cadiz in the second half, was also denied by Slonina, the 17-year-old goalkeeper making just his 4th ever MLS appearance. The Fire then threatened to win it in the last minute of the 90, after some neat approach play saw Robert Berich bearing down on goal, but Joe Willis was out quickly to deal with the danger and ensure Chicago was shut out for a 4th game in 5.
It's about this point in the season in MLS when we can start using the cliche 6-pointer without too many rolling their eyes, and Columbus against Montreal certainly fit the criteria. Jazi Zardes's goal just before half-time was a big one, with the crew chasing a playoff place and the Canadians trying to hold on to one. Just after the hour, Zardes then constructed something extra special. You could classify his second goal of the game as unstoppable. The match was also a pertinent one for the Crew's goalkeeper, Evan Bush. He spent almost 9 years with Montreal, and this was his first appearance against them since leaving. His save from Matko Miljevic, a reminder of his qualities. The reigning MLS Cup champions have talents across the pitch, Lucas Zelarajan being another. His attempt at trying to give the scoreline a more comfortable feel were understandable too. After all, Columbus hadn't kept a clean sheet in their past 11 matches. And just when they thought that that particular hurdle had finally been tackled, the Crew conceded in stoppage time. Romel Kyoto benefiting from a fortunate couple of deflections. Too late though for a full Montreal fight back, as Columbus closed the gap on the playoff places.
Starting the weekend behind Montreal in the last 2 playoff positions, the Philadelphia Union and Atlanta United met at Subaru Park. The in-form Five Stripes had won 7 of their previous 8 matches, but were reliant on Brad Guzan for keeping them on terms early, saving smartly from Sergio Santos. Jim Curtin's side were out to make it back-to-back wins since their Champions League semi-final exit. Centre-back Jack Elliott also tested Guzan, as Philadelphia continued to come forward after the break in search of the win that would take them above their visitors in the table. Atlanta rested their top scorer Joseph Martinez because of a knee injury, and it was his namesake and compatriot Jose who made the match winner for the Union's own leading marksman Kasper Szybilko. The striker's 9th MLS goal of the season and 3rd in a week came 20 minutes from time and proved enough for victory.
DC United's defeat at Atlanta last weekend dropped them just below the playoff line, but in FC Cincinnati they faced a team whose own hopes had all but faded away already. Paul Arriola's 7th minute goal suggested this wasn't going to be the start of a mini Cincinnati miracle. What it was, though, was the start of a minor first-half meltdown. The unchecked Steve Birnbaum got another for DC, and his first in MLS for almost 2.5 years. The Black and Red were clearly intent on getting their playoff place back. A rampant first-half display concluded with a goal from the same man who'd initially set the tone. More disappointment would follow for Cincinnati in the second half. Their defence practically stopped when the offside flag was raised against Nigel Robertha. He did put the ball in the net anyway, and it was a good job he did. Video review showed the substitute had timed his run to perfection, and DC had 4. There was a late flurry of activity from the visitors. Brandon Vazquez whipped in a consolation with 10 minutes remaining. Strangely, his last goal almost a year ago was also against DC United. And the same player then worked hard to provide Luciano Acosta with the chance to score a goal against his former club. His lack of celebration a sign of respect for those at Audi Field. And it was the last goal of Jaap Stam's reign as Cincinnati coach. He was dismissed in the hours that followed. To the west, where Sporting Kansas City honoured Seth Sinovic, their former defender of 9 years and MLS Cup winner in 2013. He announced his retirement from football on Thursday. First-placed SKC had won at Seattle back in July, while for the Sounders in second, it was a return to domestic action after defeat in the league's cup final in midweek. Phil Blacker, watch this one.
Bruin the target here for João Paulo. He is able to get to it first, and then the challenge from Zusi comes in. Appeals from Bruin. Zusi had to get that right. Zusi with the touch, but Atencio gets there. And here's Brad Smith. Picking the pass for Roldan, and Seattle lead. It's Christian Roldan for the Sounders with his 3rd MLS goal of the season. He also scored the opener in defeat against Leon in the League's Cup final in the week. We'll hope this is more significant. Roldan. Smith going up for it against Graham Zusi. This is Christian Roldan. A good ball in for Rui Diaz, who would have backed himself to score from there. A big chance for the Sounders' top scorer. And it's just wide from Raul Rui Diaz. Some response from Brian Smetz's team to their midweek disappointment. Shallowy with the corner for SKC. Back to Luis Martins. And then in from Shallowy, it will reach Ilie. And Fry in the way. Combination, I think, of goalkeeper and post, shutting out the Spaniard here. Sporting Kansas City go in pursuit of parity. Smith. Bit of space to surge into. He'll get it back here from Bruin. Zusi, who's with him and goes sliding in to win the challenge, did well. Graham Zusi to come away with that. SKC have given it away again. This is Rui Diaz. And this spells real danger. Raul Rui Diaz couldn't quite control it. Bruin with a touch and in. And it's 2-0 Seattle. It's Will Bruin's goal, I think. Just his 2nd of the season. And the Sounders' 2nd of the game. They might just be heading back top of the Western Conference. Rui Diaz certainly played his part, heavily involved. I don't think he got the final touch to this. Bruin's goal could make such a difference. SKC have beaten the Sounders in the last 3 meetings between the clubs. Can they find something here? Luis Martins' free kick does find Johnny Russell. and he squeezed it in. And it's game on again, an hour in Kansas City. And Johnny Russell scores for the third game in a row. Fry couldn't keep that one out on his post. The 7th of the season for the Scotsman. Shane O'Neill. Go long. Here's Martins. Might just let in Rui Diaz. He is in on goal. And he's denied by Tim Melia. His save keeps SKC in the contest here. And then the clearance hits Rui Diaz as well. Peruvian can't quite get his goal today. Seattle, though, were almost out of sight. Full time, it's a statement success for the Sounders. Sporting Kansas City 1, Seattle 2.
I mean, I think they're all hard games. It was especially hard because, look, everybody wrote the story how we came up short against Lyon. And how are we going to bounce back, mentally? Well, our team just gave you guys the answer.
Seattle's Cascadia rivals, the Portland Timbers, started the weekend 8 points behind them, while Real Salt Lake were 9 back. Both occupied top 7 positions, so this game had the potential to be very entertaining. And it was, just not in the way most anticipated. Bill Tuiloma's had a part of a very eye-catching Timbers offering, and it wasn't long until that bright start at Providence Park was rewarded. 7 of Felipe Mora's 11 MLS goals this season have come since August. He's warming up nicely for a playoff campaign. The first for Portland was all about speed. The second was far more straightforward. And from that to the sheer fear. An RSL response before half-time, though the Timbers' troubles were self-inflicted. Damir Krylak found himself lurking in the right place to half the deficit at the break. But from that point on, it was a Portland procession. The Timbers turned up the heat on the visitors just 3 minutes into the second half. Confidence restored, Portland then swarmed forward for more of the same.
Chara to Chara, Diego Chara, Chara! Brotherly love!
And the whole Timbers family were delighted to see Jaroslav Nizgoda score his first goal since returning to the side. The Pole suffered an ACL injury at the end of last year, which had kept him out for 10 months. The hosts were making a statement to the rest in the West, and they weren't quite done at 5 goals either.
Christian Paredes! 6 for Portland!
And a stinking night for RSL. This was the first time in over 4 years they'd conceded this many in MLS.
Third in the West, the Colorado Rapids welcomed the East bottom club Toronto and were close to an early breakthrough when Andre Shinyashiki found Michael Barrios, whose header was just too high. Barrios is the Rapids' top scorer with 7 goals this season and was again close to another one, with Colorado on course to stretch their unbeaten run to 11 matches. Kamar Lawrence got the crucial touch to mark Anthony Kaye's cross to keep Barrios off the score sheet. Robin Fraser brought up a half-century of matches as Colorado coach since leaving his post as TFC assistant, but his side had to settle for a 4th straight draw, confirmed when Diego Rubio headed wide in stoppage time. Only Toronto's 2nd clean sheet of the MLS season.
Austin FC had lost 5 in a row, but the LA Galaxy's winless run was even longer. Their season's been propped up by Chicharito's goals, though he was unable to add another one within the first 80 seconds in Texas. Austin have been unable to make a real splash in their debut campaign in MLS, and they chose to bolster their squad during the season with the signing of Moussa Jité. The young Senegalese forward scored plenty in the 2nd tier in France in the past couple of seasons. This served as a warning to the LA Galaxy defence. Thankfully for Austin, his self-belief didn't depart him in the second half.
Jité! And GT! This time he does it! And Austin FC's supporters have a new hero to acclaim.
And very soon, they had another one. Mackenzie Gaines grew up in the area, and on only his second MLS appearance...
Gaines, the first Austinite ever to represent the club, with a powerful volley to floor the Galaxy.
No wonder the anxiety is setting in about Greg Vanney's team's playoff spot. They're still in the top 7, but their form has many questioning for how much longer that will still be the case.
From one California side to an all-Cali contest at PayPal Park, where San Jose and LAFC sat just outside the playoff places. The match was in only its 3rd minute when Benji Kikanovic put the Quakes in front, with only his 2nd ever MLS goal. Trophies had provided the assist, and the MLS Player of Week 26 continued his fine form, as San Jose also scored at the start of the second half. Again, the visiting defence was culpable, as the Mexican made it 6 goals in his last 3 matches, and 11 now in his maiden MLS season. It was nearly 3 for the home side shortly afterwards, as they looked for back-to-back victories for the first time since winning 3 in a row in the first month of the season. Marcos Lopez's cross headed against the post by Eric Remedy. The Argentinians wait for a first San Jose goal goes on. LAFC was slipping towards successive defeats, having won the previous 3 to put themselves back in the playoff picture. They did have their chances in the second half, Danny Masovsky flashing this one wide. Rob Bradley then brought on 4 substitutes at once just before the hour to try and engineer a way back for his side. One of them, Raheem Edwards, almost half the deficit. But his effort off the crossbar was as close as LAFC got. The Quakes now level on points with them.
These two clearly have a penchant for early goals when they meet. Last month, Houston scored inside the first minute. This time, it was Minnesota's turn. Robin Lurd's dinked finish after 51 seconds was actually the Loons' fastest ever goal in MLS. And they had another by the 17th minute. The Dynamo defender Tim Parker getting the ball caught up in his own feet and then diverting Ethan Finley's shot in. And it was in, despite Zarek Valentin's desperate attempts to hack it away. Houston had reinvigorated themselves in mid-September. They were 3 unbeaten, but this defeat could spell the end for their already slim playoff hopes. The post, rather than Michael Nelson, prevented Finley from scoring again in the second half, but Minnesota did need their goalkeeper before the end. Tyler Miller kept his clean sheet, and the Loons maintained their dominant record over the Dynamo this season. It's now 9 points from 9.
To our final game, and a first for FC Dallas post Luchi Gonzalez, who departed as coach after their Texas Derby defeat to Houston last week. They travelled this time to Vancouver. They were close to an early opener when Christian Dahome was denied by Jimmy Maurer. Dallas have placed Marco Ferruzzi in interim charge for the rest of the season, but his side did fall behind 20 minutes in at BC Place. Brian White headed home Russell Tybert's cross to score in successive matches for the Whitecaps. The Canadian club have their own temporary coach in Vanni Sartini, and were aiming for a 3rd win in 5 since he replaced Mark Dos Santos. Only a fine save from Maurer kept out Lucas Cavallini and prevented the Dallas deficit from being doubled before half-time. But there remained just the 1 goal in it all the way into stoppage time, when the Texans had the chance to salvage something. Hada O'Brien went down in the box when challenged by Patrick Metcalf, and although Kevin Stott let play continue at the time, the referee did then give the penalty after a video review and a dramatic conclusion. So Franco Hara stepped up to the spot for Dallas.
It's stopped! The rebound is there! Loose in the box! It's cleared! And Max Graypo has done it!
That save preserving a vital Vancouver victory.
Despite that win, the Whitecaps stay 9th in the West, but they do draw level on points with LAFC. Above the playoff line, Portland climb into 4th, while the Sounders regain top spot after their victory at SKC.
Philadelphia are the big movers in the East, up 3 places to 4th, with their win against Atlanta pushing the Five Stripes out of the postseason positions. It's DC United who replace them, the capital club up into 6th.
We leave you with the potent Portland Timbers. And their 6-goal demolition of RSL.
This copyrighted broadcast of Major League Soccer may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of Major League Soccer.